I keep giving bad people good ideas.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about Killing Floor 3, and pretty much, if you haven't seen my last two videos about Killing Floor, making this little review series about the whole Killing Floor series. I talked about Killing Floor 1 and 2, and now we'll talk about Killing Floor 3, and then the final video of this series is going to be a recap and kind of a comparison of all the games. I'm not really trying to milk this, maybe a little with that extra video, but pretty much my whole reason why I'm doing it like this is because each video I want to focus on the game itself, then trying to compare it to Killing Floor 2, because that's what everyone's going to end up doing in the end, because I'll admit it, Killing Floor 2 is peak of the series, and everyone knows that. And that's kind of what everyone will compare a Killing Floor game to, because that's kind of where the game series excelled or kind of hit its fucking limit, I would say. And I'm not saying Killing Floor 3 cannot hit that limit, and hopefully it could succeed this game in, you know, the next year, a couple years or whatever. But the game is definitely in a suffering state compared to Killing Floor 2, and we'll kind of get all into that, and kind of, like I said, focus more on the game itself, and then in the next video, we're doing a comparison of all three games and shit like that. There's going to be a little bit of comparisons and stuff in this video, but not as detailed, I would say. But let's go over the main point that I want to go over is the lack of fucking content, and I feel like everyone says this across the board. The lack of content is fucking insane, and especially compared to Killing Floor 2. I get it, Killing Floor 2 came out in 2016, so the game has had 10 years worth of updates pumped into the game, so there's definitely going to be more content. But with Killing Floor 3, dude, it just feels so stripped compared to Killing Floor 2. Well, it's just like those certain guns that you would just expect them to kind of port over that they didn't. A good one is the Spitfires. Or Spitfires. I'm not too, like, you know, I like using them, but again, they were a DLC weapon in Killing Floor 1. Killing Floor 2, they released it as a base weapon, and then Killing Floor 3, they're non-fucking existent. And I feel like they're a pretty iconic gun, right next to the flamethrower for the firebug. Like, the revolvers that shoot fireballs. And these assholes were just like, oh, the revolvers, oh, you could dual wield them. Oh, like, you shoot fireballs, they're really fucking cool. Oh, let's not add that. Hopefully they end up adding it at some point and you don't have to pay for it. But it's ridiculous. It's like, there's plenty of outdoor guns that I could use as examples, but that's one of them. That I'm kind of pissed because I like using that a lot in Killing Floor 1 and 2, and not having my favorite fucking gun in Killing Floor 3 is kind of fucking retarded, especially if the last two fucking games had it. Like, I get it, Killing Floor 1 had it as a DLC, it came out later on. I don't give a fuck, the game came out like 20 years ago. Killing Floor 2 had it in the base game. Well, why the fuck can you not just do that again in Killing Floor 3? I get it, they want to switch things up, but it really, when that happens, it just sucks, because each perk, you're left with like 5 or 4 guns max to choose from, and it just feels really limited compared to Killing Floor 1 and Killing Floor 2. And it's crazy to even say Killing Floor 1, because they pretty much have the same amount of maps and fucking guns, and somehow Killing Floor 1 kind of feels less limited than Killing Floor 3, and somehow, like, Killing Floor 3 is a newer game, and we'll kind of get into that. So, like I said, Killing Floor 3 only has, like, the quarter of the guns of Killing Floor 2. It pretty much kind of has similar amount of guns as Killing Floor 1, but again, think about it. That game came out in 2009, almost 20 fucking years ago. This is the game that they were, like, walking in the mom's basement with. Pretty much, if you don't know, Killing Floor was a mod. I forgot which game exactly, but similar to like DayZ, the mod got a lot of traction, and they made it its own standalone game. So again, there's not going to be a fuckload of games, fuckload of guns and maps and all this crazy shit in the first release. So they're gonna try and make it, you know, poppin', and you know they want to try and make it where people are gonna play. But again, that's where like Killing Floor 2 kind of succeeded, and we'll again get into that. But again, there's no mod support yet. They said by the end of this year though, hopefully should be. I don't know. Again, I do feel like games like this do rely heavily on mods to kind of, you know, keep the game alive, because again, they could only pump out so many maps, and also sometimes updates take forever to release. As if you have a community always releasing maps, you always kind of have content releasing. I feel like that's going to be kind of complicated because the game is cross-platform. So it's like, how are you going to get these modded maps onto console, and how is this all going to work? And I think that's kind of where they are kind of getting a little shot in the foot. And again, they're pissing off people who are like, why is there no mod support? Why is there none of this that are in the past 2 games? But then, again, they wanted to add a whole new player base and all of this, and I feel like having it cross-platform may have confused or kind of jumbled up a couple things. As you know, with Killing Floor 1 and 2, it was only on PC, so all they had to do was release the mod tools. So I feel like if they only are throwing the hands of making mods into the PC players and making it well only PC players can have mods, then it kind of will defeat the whole cross-platform part of the game. And also, then it just, I don't know, like again, I could see it where they have PC only lobbies where those are the mods and all that, and then cross-platform is just vanilla. But then again, they're all going to be console players, are going to want to play modded maps and play mods, and I feel like they're going to want to try and, you know, please those people as well. So I think why we're not having a official release of mods just yet, and they didn't just give us the mod tools to make maps and stuff just yet, is because possibly they might not just have it only on Workshop and only have it on PC. They might be trying to make a console version where you can make your maps and where you could upload it. So all the maps and all the uploads, all the uploaded maps, kind of similar to games like Halo, is in the game itself than really on Steam. That could be my little game theory of why that kind of shit's taking so long. Or they could just only release on PC and be on a console, go fuck yourself. But I don't know. That's my little theory, is why it's taking so long, is instead of really just only making it for PC and having only Steam Workshop mods, they're going to be trying to actually put it in the game itself and let console players get a chance at it, and possibly have it where people can upload and share maps between console players and PC players. And I feel like that's the best route, and probably will maybe save this game. But again, if you have no one playing the game, no one's going to be making maps for this shit. So I don't know how this is going to all work. Because again, if they only make it well, you can only have mods on PC, no one really plays this game on PC, so no one's going to make maps. So again, like with my little theory, I feel like that's kind of the best route they can go. And also maybe a possible route they are taking, and why this shit's taking so long. But to move on from babbling about that, I need to get a drink real quick. My mouth's so fucking dry. But, pretty much, Killing Floor 3 only has about 10 fucking maps to play on. 10! And no modded maps. Again, the maps are pretty good, and I like them, they're fun. But only 10. So again, if you're gonna be no-lifing this game, you're gonna get bored pretty fucking quick. Again, Killing Floor 2 has been out for the last 10 years. But Killing Floor 2 does have a total of 27 maps. This is including DLC, and that also doesn't include all the modded maps you can download from the workshop. Killing Floor 1, similar as Killing Floor 3, it only has about 13 maps. But again, you could download workshop maps. And again, all the maps are pretty good. I can't really complain, but just a lack of maps, especially in Killing Floor 3, and not having any mod support. Again, there's that big hole of content where they need to fill it, or either they gotta do what I was kind of saying, and make a mod tool for consoles and PC players to make and share maps and kind of get that shit going. But again, I'm not too sure if they're going to only make it mod support only for PC, or if they'll try and make it where it's console and PC and it's more universal. But we'll kind of see as time goes. And then jumping into the guns and stuff, Killing Floor 3 only has about 30 to 40 guns. Like I was saying, each class only has about 5 guns you can pick from, and there's like 5 to 6 classes. Again, like other Killing Floors, you can switch classes in between matches, which is cool. But again, when they first released the game, they didn't have that. They were like, you're locked to one per match. And no one liked that shit. So they switched it, which is great. But again, at least we're listening to the community and stuff like that. So hopefully, again, they do have a roadmap, and hopefully, you know, near the end of this roadmap and in future roadmaps, people start kind of seeing the game as a little bit better. They start polishing the game a bit more, adding more content, and kind of, you know, getting people to not really abandon Killing Floor 2, but at least to touch Killing Floor 3 and give it a fucking chance. But again, it just all depends if they can polish the game better, which again, the game's pretty polished, but again, adding more content, making people enticed to want to even touch the game in the first place compared to Killing Floor 2. Killing Floor 2 has a whopping 90 to 110 guns. This is including DLC. You see what the fuck I'm talking about. And Killing Floor 1, again, this game came out about 20 years ago. It has about 30 to 35 guns. So again, I'm not expecting that game to be the mind-blowing, oh, holy shit. But it has about, like, Killing Floor 3, right now, even though it just released like a year ago and shit, only has about the same amount of guns as Killing Floor 1. Like, again, hopefully, and they, you know, probably have this in the roadmap, to add more guns and shit. Because again, I want to see new guns. I want to see guns that were in Killing Floor 2 and 1 that were iconic guns that everyone liked, like the Spitfires, to be in the game. And yeah, no, like, it's actually crazy seeing the numbers. But, like, Killing Floor 2 legit has tripled the guns that Killing Floor 3 has. And, again, the player count is only being saved that this game is pretty much cross-platform, like I was saying. Having this game cross-platform, I'm not complaining. I think it's a cool idea, but I do think it creates these issues where, again, this game relies heavily on mod support and modded maps. And now they added this new equation, or this new, I would say, number to the equation, and that they have to solve is, how can we get mod support onto console? And it also can be complicated because they have to make like a mod tool that works on PC and console and have it be universal to where they could upload maps if they go that route, and also have it where can the console handle it as well. Again, consoles are usually better nowadays and pretty much more stronger than they were before. But again, it's going to be interesting to see which route they take with the modding. If that's going to be only on PC, and then PC players upload stuff, and then consoles can download them later on, or consoles get no mod support as PC gets all mod support, or if they're going to try to have this more universal system. I think having a more universal system's probably going to be the best route for them, and it's probably why we're seeing these delays. I don't know. Again, like I was saying, the player count's only being saved as cross-platform. On average, I could check right now, but on average, at least for me, I've only seen the Killing Floor 3, pretty much player count being around like 300. So, and that's only showing for PC. So again, I'll run into PC players on Killing Floor 3. But not a whole bunch. Like right now, there's only 269. Which is actually kind of fucking sad. Because its all-time peak 11 months ago was like 30,000. So, it's going through it. It's definitely going through it. And, again, hopefully, with time, they hopefully release enough content and can pull people back into this game, because it's not the worst game ever, and, it is pretty fun. Like I said, sometimes it's around like 300, 400, sometimes drops to like 200 players, and that's only the PC player count. And I feel like what saved them in the long run, because they knew people are really tied to Killing Floor 2, and I think with Killing Floor 3, they knew they were going to do some changes, and it was kind of risky. Having a cross-platform kind of saved it, and then I think it's it's free if you buy like a PSN membership thing, whatever. I'm not too sure, but again, the point I'm trying to make is I do run into a lot of PlayStation and Xbox players. Again, I'll run into PC players here and there, but a lot of the time it is console players, which again, I'm not complaining, because again, it's at least you're playing with someone, and the game, holy crap, my nose just got so stuffy, but at least the game's not completely fucking dead. And again, I just said again, what up, fuck English, but pretty much the point I'm trying to say is, with the cross-platform, pretty much at least those players, and you always can find a lobby. I'm not really struggling ever to find a lobby. It, might take a little longer than Killing Floor 2, but I would say it probably, which sucks is it doesn't have a server browser, but again, it probably takes me about, max, I think I've waited a minute or two to find a lobby, but usually in a few seconds I find a lobby. And then pretty much not constant, but can be more of an issue when you're first installing like shaders, or, you first install the game and everything's adjusting. But pretty much the game will stutter and freeze on heavy loads. Especially later on, if you have all the shaders loaded, I notice, and like when the game's taking on heavy loads, or those like intense moments where there's all these explosions going on and all these enemies are dying, the game will start stuttering and freezing no matter what. And I have a pretty decent setup. I think I have my whole setup in the description and shit. It's not a terrible setup, and I'm still kind of having a little bit of issues with that, and I would say that's probably one of my biggest issues, besides the lack of content. Also, pretty much the game looks very polished graphic wise, but it does suck because it kind of loses that horror feeling and kind of feels a little bit more COD like, because you could slide around and do all this shit. But again, with that, the movement's way better, and again, the combat and fighting does feel good and flows very well. The gore and the dismemberment, as weird as it sounds, but again, Killing Floor games are known for this. It's very good, and again, it seems like they improved on that. Even though some people do like kind of the graphics and more the grittiness of Killing Floor 1 and 2, kind of like I do feel like, again, Killing Floor 3 being a bit more polished, and again, sadly, a little bit more COD-like. Again, at least with the graphics and, again, the game being polished, I could give it to them that they at least pulled it off, and it doesn't seem too terrible. And I kind of like it, and again, I could see the improvements. It's nice seeing changes to enemies, again, if that's just like different looks, or again, just seeing them having overall improvements and kind of adding to the enemies. Again, they pretty much kind of made the sirens a bit more beefier, and kind of having the attacks a bit more powerful. And it's weird, like now their necks extend and they turn into this big robot shit that like could shoot big sound waves at you or some shit. It's kind of cool. Again, Killing Floor 3 does pretty much add weapon customization systems and stuff like that, where you could make little preset attachments on your guns, and you could buy them from the shop, which is kind of cool. Again, Killing Floor 3, like I said, does improve the movement a lot compared to Killing Floor 2. The Killing Floor 3 is more faster paced, as Killing Floor 2 is kind of, slower, more punishable, as I feel like Killing Floor 3 is a little less punishable, a bit more player friendly to at least newer players. I wouldn't say it's necessarily easier. I would just say it's a little bit more player friendly. It's a little bit more less punishing if you get cornered or some shit. Overall, I would say kind of wait to buy Killing Floor 3. Wait till it's on sale. Again, I'm not saying it's the worst game ever, don't buy it, blah, blah, blah. But again, it's not there yet. I don't think this game has what... it doesn't have everything it needs, just yet to really be like, oh, get this game and you need it, blah, blah, blah. Because again, like I said, the game is lacking a lot of content. If that's maps, if that's guns, or whatever the fuck, and pretty much just, kind of just little issues here and there, like fixing stuttering, freezing issues. But yeah, pretty much besides that, I would say Killing Floor 3, I wouldn't say is the best Killing Floor, and you could probably go without playing Killing Floor 3, but I would say it's definitely worth checking out. And like I said, wait till it's on sale and you could get it for like maybe $11 instead of $40, because again, the game is definitely worth checking out and kind of messing around with. I wouldn't say it's the worst game ever. It is playable, it is a bit fun, and I do kind of enjoy myself playing it. It just, these walls, again, like I said, with the lack of content and just kind of these little bugs. But again, the game does seem pretty polished. I don't run into too many bugs, and I haven't ran into that stuttering issue too much. I noticed it really just a lot in the beginning when the game was first adjusting to, or my PC was first adjusting to all the shaders. And again, like I said, here and there, there'll be these intense moments and it'll start just stuttering, which is just kind of annoying. And hopefully, again, they fix that as time goes. And again, I just feel like with this, they just need to release content and just release stuff and entice people to want to touch this fucking game. But besides that, hope you guys enjoyed, and comment down below what you guys think about Killing Floor 3. I'm in the middle. I'm kind of on the fence where I would say it's worth trying. It's not the best Killing Floor, and probably don't buy it full price and just get it on sale. But besides that, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you guys think. Turn on notifications, subscribe, like the video, all that shit. And yeah, bye guys. I'll see you guys all in the next one.